The sun was setting over Miami, casting a warm orange glow across the packed stadium. Thousands of people had come to hear Donald Trump speak. The air buzzed with excitement, chants of USA, USA, filling the space like thunder. Flags waved, faces painted red, white, and blue. Trump strode to the microphone, his usual confident grin lighting up his face. He raised his hand, silencing the crowd. "America is the greatest nation on earth," he declared. The crowd roared. His voice thundered through the speakers as he spoke about strength, power, and leadership. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. The world was changing fast, and not everyone cheered for the same vision. Cameras captured every moment, broadcasting live to millions. Suddenly, a ripple of surprise cut through the noise. From the side entrance, a tall, calm figure appeared. A man dressed not in the expected suits or casual rally wear, but in simple clothes, his gaze steady and intense. Ibrahim Traoré, the revolutionary leader from Burkina Faso, had entered the stadium. Whispers spread through the crowd like wildfire. Who was this man? Why was he here? Trump was mid-sentence, talking about global dominance and making America proud, when he noticed the unexpected guest. His confident smile faltered. His eyes locked on Traoré, who stood quietly but unyielding at the edge of the stage. The cameras zoomed in. The crowd fell silent. Breaths held. Even the security teams were caught off guard. For the first time in a long while, Trump stopped. His voice caught, and his usual bravado seemed to fade. The world watched live as the moment stretched out, a pause that felt like an eternity. Then, in the hushed stillness, Trump said something no one predicted. "That man just taught me something." Shock erupted. Some gasped. Others stared, stunned into silence. What had Traoré done to cause such a rare admission from one of the most powerful men in the world? Traoré stepped forward calmly, not with anger or defiance, but with quiet dignity. He spoke in a voice steady and clear, sharing words that seemed to reach beyond the walls of the stadium. "I come from a place where struggle is daily, where leadership means lifting your people from darkness, not just speaking of strength," he said. His words echoed in the minds of everyone listening. The rally, once charged with aggressive pride, now felt different, more human, more real. Trump listened closely. The crowd was silent, some wiping tears they didn't expect. The energy shifted from noise to reflection. Behind the scenes, journalists whispered that this was a turning point, not just for a rally, but for global respect and understanding. For the first time, a bridge was being built between worlds that often seemed so far apart. As Traoré spoke, the crowd's energy softened. The usual chants quieted, replaced by a deep silence filled with something rare, understanding. He spoke of his people's struggles, drought, poverty, and war, but also of hope, resilience, and the courage to change a broken system. "True leadership," he said, "is not about power over others, but power with others." Trump's face was unreadable. For the first time, he seemed to listen without interruption. The cameras caught every flicker of emotion on his face, surprise, respect, maybe even doubt. Outside the stadium, millions were watching the live stream. Social media exploded with reactions, disbelief, admiration, confusion. Some wondered if this was a political stunt. Others sensed something deeper, a moment when walls might begin to crumble. In the crowd, an elderly woman wiped tears from her eyes. "I never thought I'd hear those words here," she whispered. "Maybe things can change." Behind the scenes, aides whispered urgently. Some urged Trump to return to his planned speech, to dismiss Traoré as a mere interruption. But Trump remained silent, focused on the man before him. Traoré's calm presence seemed to challenge not just the crowd, but the very idea of power. It was a reminder that leadership is more than speeches and rallies. It's about truth, humility, and serving others. A young volunteer at the event, watching from the sidelines, felt something shift inside her. I never knew leadership could look like that, she thought, tears pooling in her eyes. In the stands, a teenage boy clenched his fists. His family had faced hardships similar to those Traoré described. For the first time, he felt seen. This moment was no longer just a political rally. It was a quiet revolution. Within hours, the clip of Trump's admission and Traoré's speech exploded online. Millions shared it across the globe. News outlets scrambled to cover the story. Political commentators debated what it meant, a turning point or a fleeting moment. Across continents, people watched the video, some moved to tears. Messages poured in from strangers who had never heard of Ibrahim Traoré before, now calling him a symbol of hope and courage. In Burkina Faso, the people celebrated quietly. Their leader, once seen as a distant figure, was now a beacon on the world stage. Meanwhile, Trump's team was divided. Some feared this would weaken his image. Others recognized that something real had happened, a moment of respect that no one could erase. The world was watching, and everything had changed. Days after the rally, the atmosphere remained tense yet hopeful. Trump retreated to his private quarters, alone with his thoughts. The words Traoré had spoken echoed louder than any applause. For years, Trump's speeches had been about strength. But what if strength wasn't just about power or fear? What if it was about humility, empathy, and shared struggle? Meanwhile, Traoré returned to Burkina Faso, aware of the eyes now watching him like never before. He carried the weight of his people's hopes and fears, knowing this moment could inspire change or bring new challenges. In a quiet moment with his closest advisors, he said, "Leadership is not a trophy. It is a responsibility to those who suffer." The world was watching these two men, so different in background, culture, and style, each wrestling with what leadership truly meant. Across America, reactions varied wildly. Some supporters of Trump felt betrayed, unable to accept his humble admission. Others, however, found new respect in his rare moment of vulnerability. In small towns and big cities alike, ordinary people talked about the video. A factory worker in Ohio said, "I cried watching that. For once I felt like someone really cares." In Burkina Faso, families gathered around radios and phones, proud and hopeful. A mother whispered to her children, "That man stands for us, for every child who dreams." Social media was flooded with stories of pain, courage, and the desire for a better future. People connected across borders, united by a simple truth. Leadership could change, and maybe, just maybe, the world could too. Despite the growing admiration, powerful forces moved behind the scenes. Some global leaders saw Traoré's rising influence as a threat to the old order. In secret meetings, they debated how to diminish his impact, spreading doubts and rumors. But Traoré remained steadfast. He knew the battle wasn't just political, it was moral. He refused to fight with anger or force. Instead, he chose to lead with honesty and courage. Back in Miami, Trump's advisors pressured him to dismiss Traoré's influence, to return to familiar rhetoric. But deep down, Trump felt something shifting inside him, a silent challenge to rethink what it meant to lead. The world watched as Ibrahim Traoré's name became a symbol of courage and change. Yet his greatest battles were not on international stages. They were in villages and fields back home, where daily life was a test of resilience. Traoré visited a small school in a dusty village. Children ran to greet him, their eyes full of hope. He knelt down and spoke softly. "Your dreams are the future of this world. Never stop believing." Tears welled in the eyes of a young girl clutching her worn notebook. For her, Traoré was more than a leader. He was proof that even the smallest voices mattered. Meanwhile, in Washington, the atmosphere was charged. Some politicians dismissed Traoré as an outsider, but others quietly studied his every move. Trump, in rare private moments, watched videos of Traoré's speeches. His own confidence wavered as he wondered if true strength was something he had missed all along. Late one night, Trump sat alone in the quiet of his penthouse. The city lights blinked below, but his mind was far away, back in that Miami stadium. He replayed the moment he paused, the crowd's silence, and Traoré's calm, steady voice. A strange feeling crept in, respect mixed with uncertainty. He thought about the divisions in his own country, the anger and fear that had driven so many to his rallies. Could Traoré's example help heal those wounds? Could humility be a new kind of power? He didn't have answers yet, but the seed of change had been planted. As the months passed, the story of the Miami rally and Traoré's impact spread like wildfire. Documentaries, interviews, and discussions filled screens worldwide. People from all walks of life felt connected by the message of leadership born from struggle and hope. In Burkina Faso, Traoré worked tirelessly to bring education and peace to his people. His hands were rough from the hard work, but his smile remained steady and full of warmth. Meanwhile, Trump faced mounting pressure. Some praised his humility, others called it weakness. But the truth was clear: the world was no longer the same. A new conversation had begun, one about respect, about listening, about true strength, and no one knew where it would lead. In the quiet moments between rallies and meetings, something unexpected was growing. A silent connection between two leaders from worlds apart. Traoré's simple message of hope and service began to echo in places few imagined, even within Trump's inner circle. One evening, an aide quietly approached Trump with a message from Traoré. "Leadership is a journey of the heart." Trump read it twice, his eyes softening. For once, the mask of bravado slipped. That night, he called Traoré's office. They spoke, not as political rivals, but as men burdened with the hopes of millions. The world would never hear this conversation, but it changed everything. Back in Burkina Faso, Traoré faced challenges daily: political opposition, poverty, and unrest. But every time he felt tired, he thought of the children waiting for a better future. He visited a refugee camp ravaged by conflict. There, he held a little boy's hand and promised, "We will build a world where you don't have to run from fear." Tears flowed freely, from the boy, from his mother, and from Traoré himself. Leadership, he realized, was never about grand speeches. It was about moments like these, raw, real, and full of hope. In America, the aftermath of the rally still echoed. The video clip had sparked debates, arguments, and most importantly, reflection. A nurse in New York said to her colleague, "I never thought I'd feel moved watching politics. But that moment, it made me believe in change." Meanwhile, Trump held a press conference unlike any before. His voice was steady, his message different. "I learned something important that day," he said. "Strength is respect. Strength is listening. Strength is humility." The room fell silent, the world holding its breath. The world seemed to hold its breath as both men stepped into new roles, not as rivals, but as unlikely partners in a shared vision. Traoré's influence grew beyond Burkina Faso's borders, inspiring youth movements and leaders worldwide. His courage became a beacon for those tired of division and fear. In the United States, Trump's unexpected humility stirred something in his supporters too, reminding them that beneath the politics, humanity still mattered. Across continents, ordinary people felt a renewed hope, that leadership could change, that a new era was possible. One evening, Traoré stood on a hill overlooking a village where children played under the setting sun. He thought about the journey, the rallies, the speeches, the doubts, and the hope. His heart swelled with gratitude and determination. He knew the road ahead would be long and difficult, but the change had begun, not with fireworks or fanfare, but with courage, respect, and quiet strength. At that moment, a message came through from Trump. "Thank you for teaching me what leadership really means." Traoré smiled softly, knowing the true victory was the bond they had formed, a bridge between worlds. The Miami rally became more than a headline. It became a symbol of transformation. People everywhere shared stories of courage and humility, realizing that even the greatest leaders can learn and grow. Traoré's face was now recognized as a symbol of hope, inspiring millions to believe that change was possible. Trump, too, was forever changed by that unexpected moment of connection. And as the sun rose on a new day, the world began to heal, one respectful conversation at a time. Dear friends, if this story moved you, if it touched your heart and gave you hope, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Your support means the world and helps stories like this reach those who need to hear them most. Share your thoughts below. Your voice matters, and together we can build a community of respect and change. Don't just watch. Be part of the movement. Thank you for being here.